Hello, everyone. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first Teacher PD for ELA 2021. It is my pleasure to introduce both Eliana Aloisio and Kathryn Babawal for our first PD entitled Be Inspired and Be Motivated. And in fact, I'm going to read the piece that Eliana sent, which I thought was awesome. She wrote, "Are you tired of the frustration and or anger you may feel caused by disruptive behaviors in the classroom? Or are you just plain tired and feeling stuck within the current climate of restrictions? Turn these unwanted feelings into more positive, supportive, peaceful, and freeing emotions. Use your newfound inspiration to help your students in the classroom learn willingly and be excited to invest themselves with heightened effort." Both Eliana and Kathryn. Kathryn has a BA, she has a B.Ed. She is also the owner of Le Petit Soleil out of school care and preschool programs from French Immersion. And Eliana has her BA and B.Ed and a member of the Institute of Child Psychology. And she has, and we are so proud and happy, been a teacher at the Comitato Promotore della Lingua Italiana for many years, and we are happy to have her and continue to have her be part of our community. Hooray. And what they are going to help us do is actively study and implement a simple and understandable technique in our lives, our classrooms, called belief repatterning. So without further ado, I introduce you to Eliana and Kathryn.
I'm going to talk about Kathryn. Kathryn and I met through belief repatterning, and she was the most bubbly, vivacious, wonderful, welcoming, happy person that I've ever encountered. And I wanted so much to get to know her. And I had the fortune of her being my laser coach. This is a portion of belief repatterning that we all take part in. We're not the ones that are studying to be practitioners. And now we've become fast friends, and we've worked so hard on this because we both believe it strongly. And she is going to be a delightful fountain of information, as well as make it light and entertaining and easy for us all to understand. So, Kathryn, introduce yourself.
That was a big intro. I gotta live up to that now. No, that's fine. I got this. It's no problem at all. I'm really honored to be asked to participate in this. I think this is such a wonderful opportunity for you guys to get PD and do it online this way. I'm really excited to be working with you on the screen here and those who are watching this on the replay after the fact. What Eliana said is true. This is a technique that both of us have a lot of conviction for its truth, because we have not only found incredible benefits in our own personal lives, but also just immediately in the classroom, we just see exponential changes in behavior patterns in kids. So yeah, we're really excited to share some information with you guys. Like Eliana said, I am a French immersion teacher. I used to teach for Edmonton Public, then I opened up my own French immersion preschool in 2006. So it's been a long time that I've been running my French preschool, but I was there today. There's a lot of 4-year-olds in my 4-year-old class today. I think some of you know exactly what I mean by that. 4-year-olds in September, right? And they didn't go to school last year, lots of them, for the support of some practice with socialization and peers. So there's a lot of good learning happening in my classroom right now. So I'm really excited to be here. Let's just launch into it, Eliana.
You bet. So, welcome everyone, and please open yourselves to learning, because we're going to head into this and have a great time. Please put your questions in the chat box. We welcome any questions, absolutely, and we look forward to enjoying this presentation together with you. I want to let you know that in addition to our slideshow, there is a handout package which will be emailed to you after the session, and it'll include handouts with our view of our slides for you to reference again, as well as some activities which are going to be made mention of throughout the presentation. We've also included research articles, which we refer to in our presentation, and you can go and listen to the whole YouTube speech or whatever that we've referenced. And I do need you to do one little piece of homework. If you can grab a writing implement, could be a crayon, a pencil, a pen, and a white piece of 8.5 by 11 or some paper that you can fold in half. We're going to be doing an activity, and that's what we need for that activity. So,
Super complicated supplies.
exactly.
Awesome.
Over to you, Kathryn.
Okay, wonderful. So this PD session is based on the philosophy of our visionary mentor. She's our coach. There she is. Her name is Suze Casey, and she developed the belief repatterning technique. She also wrote that little book down there in blue that is called Belief Repatterning, the Amazing Technique for Flipping the Switch to Positive Thoughts. And this system is amazing. You guys are going to really love it. She's a seasoned teacher with a master's degree in education in curriculum design, and we've quoted her here, inspiring fellow educators and students alike: set your intention clearly from who you really are and watch with amazement what you attract. Today we're going to be offering you guys a very brief description and introduction of belief repatterning, speaking to how we have each successfully applied it in our classrooms, like I said, and also our own lives. The information we share will be the foundation for you to be able to navigate some tips and some tricks with your students too. We will not have a lot of time to be able to unfold the whole magic of how belief repatterning works. We will direct you at the end though for next steps for learning if that's of interest to you for workshops and extra training. The focus tonight is going to be to use this strategy through the eyes of educators. As teachers, this is what you care about. Here's what we're focusing on for you. We appreciate that your investment of time tonight is a big choice. So our intentions are to respect your time by offering tips and tricks that you can immediately apply in your next classroom to support for a more engaged language classroom space. These are ideas that won't cost any money or take any time or be too challenging or complicated. We want to support you to reconsider your own perspective about your role as an educator and the part that you play in your students' attitudes and efforts. And lastly, we want to empower each of you to revive your initial intentions for when you chose to become teachers and instill in you a renewed sense of excitement and confidence in your skill sets. So Eliana and I brainstormed and we came up with a handful of challenging feelings that we believe arise for students in the second language classroom. See if any of this sounds familiar. We've got language learning is in the evenings and the weekends, so we've got some lower attitudes, effort, disruptive behavior that could show up. Language classes often prevent students from participating in other extracurricular options, so we're resentful, defiant. Students are not always consistently in attendance and then are behind when they return, so they're overwhelmed or embarrassed. Second language requires oral participation, especially for those teens in grade 7. Self-conscious, ashamed, not good enough. I didn't say in the intro that I'm a very touchy-feely person. I've got lots of goosebumps. We have lots of people who are saying, yes, you hear me, and you know the challenges that I'm up against in my class. Yeah, wonderful, awesome. Antonella's nodding. Yes, we know. Yeah. Many students have access to draining emotions like the ones that we've listed here in yellow. Today, we will address how to help decrease these feelings for your students and even how to repattern these emotions to ones that will in fact raise their energy instead.
So the silk thread to the simple and effective posture of daily living is learning how to train our minds, first consciously and simultaneously subconsciously, to accept the transformation of existing habitual critical negative thoughts. That's what we call our inner critic, into habitual, positive, supportive ones, and we call that our inner coach. So consider this. If you spoke to your friends the way you speak to yourself, how many friends do you think you would have? Or how many friends would show up to have coffee with you if you said some of the things that we say to ourselves to them? Probably not many. We clearly have evidence that there is room for improvement in our critical self-talk. In belief repatterning, we put into question whether the pattern behavior solutions offered by our subconscious are always best for us. Ultimately, those inner critic impulses do rescue us and give us solutions that have worked in the past. We've all suffered from some sort of indiscretions and pain. So, being angry and pushing these away, those knee-jerk reactions, is not the way to show gratitude for the actually staying alive. So many times we've needed to use them, and they've worked for us. But now we're going to take the first step to clear the way for us to forgive ourselves for using those strategies. And for tonight, we're going to say, you know, I forgive you. We're going to move forward. We're going to try something new. We're going to open our minds just a little bit to let some of this stuff in and see how it lands and how it makes us feel. Way better than self-medicating to try to get rid of some of those shameful feelings that we have. And we humans can find all sorts of ways to self-medicate. I'm not even going to go into that one because we all have those issues, I'm sure. So what if we actually offer gratitude to those feelings for doing their job and even forgive them for showing up? And yet, could we also offer permission to consider finding and using better solutions in our file folders?
We've got the caveman here. You can see what the pattern of behavior is, right? Don't die. Don't die. Run away. It's a really great solution. It's wonderful. Super fabulous, isn't it? So like this caveman running for his life, our method of coping with negative ideas began forming when we were really little. And as we carry on, we continue to build preferred strategies, like Eliana was saying, about whether we failed or we survived, and it worked. So here's a situation where we formed a belief because it worked. Good job, we stayed alive. The pattern of behavioral response to run away from the tiger is reinforced because we stay alive. We get a really extremely positive emotional reaction when we manage to live and not die. And then our brain's like, awesome, you probably want me to do this pattern of behavior again for you. It's super useful to be alive. So your subconscious mind will take it over. Just like how we drive, right? You don't think about driving. The pattern of behavior just runs in the background for you. So this caveman has got a subconscious folder that's like saber-toothed tiger, run real fast, stay alive. Yeah. It's really good that humans are born resilient this way. It's encoded into our DNA to be fighting for survival all of the time. But like Eliana was just saying, we have fears that come up nowadays, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be late for work. Is it on par with being chased by a saber-toothed tiger? We just continue running the same patterns in the background. We respond to fear as if it is life or death. And sometimes, like, you really get an opportunity to reevaluate. Is this actually what's going on? Is this what's happening? Are today's challenges similar to this live or die emotional response solution file folders that our subconscious brain offers to us? I like this. Fear is false evidence appearing real. Pretty solid when we're thinking about it, because often we can get into a panic and anxiety mode that feels like a saber-toothed tiger, but actually, are we gonna die if we're late for work? No chance at all, right? Yeah. Let's move on to slide 11 there. Are you good to pick that up, Eliana, here?
Well, actually, no. Sure, I can say, what if you are just tired of surviving? What if you're always feeling unhappy? And what if you always seem to be disappointed or angry or frustrated? What if you're just plain exhausted from feeling like you're treading in quicksand? Are you tired of feeling like you're taking one step forward and two steps backwards? Are you tired of hearing yourself complain about the same thing over and over? Or worse, you're not even aware that you're complaining about the same thing over and over. Just everybody else is. I see lots of heads nodding in acknowledgement. So we understand, you guys. We're going to read a little story, Kathryn.
Okay, so this is Complaining to a Wise Person by Amanda Hunt. It says, people visit a wise man complaining about the same problems over and over again. One day, he decided to tell them a joke, and they all roared with laughter. After a few minutes, told them the same joke, and only a few of them smiled. And then he told them the same joke for a third time. No one laughed or smiled anymore. The wise man smiled and said, you can't laugh at the joke over and over when it's the same joke. So why are you always crying about the same problem? It's interesting.
So what we're going to do is we're going to begin to think about the possibility of there being another way. There's got to be another way to structure our decisions and actions so that we are comfortable and we are happy and we are at peace with the results. Now, what? Another way? Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's just for a fleeting second, just a second, entertain the thought that there's another way of thinking. Right away, what are some of the immediate thoughts that come to our mind? Well, I'm at fault. What I've been doing, I'm telling you, I'm not doing it right, so I must be doing something wrong, so I'm at fault. Or I'm going to have to change myself, and I don't want to change. Or it sounds difficult and complicated, and I can't handle that. Or it sounds like I don't even know where to start. How do I finish? How do I get going? It's just too big for me. I can't do it by myself. It's scary. I'm frightened. I'm too afraid. It sounds like it'll be less work if I just leave things alone and just stay stuck. We're going to show you a little clip about somebody that is stuck.
Oh, that's not good.
Oh, I don't need this. I'm already late.
Somebody will come. Anybody out there?
Do you have a phone?
No. Sorry. Somebody! Hello? There are two people stuck on an escalator and we need help. Now, would somebody please do something? I don't believe this. You gotta be kidding me.
I'm gonna cry.
Well, there's nothing else left to do. So.
Hello. Hey, don't worry about it. I'll fix it in a second.
He said he can fix it. All right. All right. That's more like it. He says he can fix it.
See the sunlight in the morning, lying in my bed, it's Monday 10 a.m. Walk across the room and open up the window, feel the pressure and the sunlight.
Yeah. Pretty funny, right? To look at it at face value, it's just an interesting way to give ourselves perspective on how sometimes we really prevent ourselves from incredibly obvious solutions, and we stay stuck because we're going to be stuck, and that's all we're available for is stuck, and we're staying in stuck. Yeah. Some of you guys may even want to show this to your students as far as attitude or effort for just showing up, because it's kind of funny to laugh at. But you know, your grade 7s and your 6s, even your 4s, they can appreciate this kind of thing for funny and for it to roll into a next step activity for you guys. So let's look at the very first immediate resistance that comes up. This slide was, that looks like I have to admit like I'm at fault somehow. Am I broken or am I okay? Suze Casey says, you're not broken, there's nothing to fix. And here we'll also add, the children under your temporary care are not broken either. Isn't that a relief? I can wonder what's held me back in the past, or I can create what I want in the future, but I can't do both at the same time, and I choose. And what do you choose? Because there is a choice. You don't need to analyze and scrutinize or play the detective by spending time looking to uncover all of the hidden or buried injustices and root causes for why you were shy or insecure or self-conscious or rebellious, or fill in the blank with whatever draining word that you want. There's no need to heal these limiting beliefs so that your students are going to be able to learn better. And more good news.
You are who you are. That's good news. You made choices throughout your life that were the right decisions to make at that particular time. You don't need to beat yourself up over it. You've dealt with the consequences of all those decisions, whether they were effective or ineffective. You can't change them. It's done. It's finished. You can't drive to your destination safely by staring out the rearview mirror all the way. The past is like using your rearview mirror in the car. It's good to glance back and see how you've come, how far you've come, but if you stare too long, you'll miss what's right in front of you. The fact is that you will remain stuck in your life if you continue to chastise yourself or criticize yourself for the things you've done in the past and continue to put yourself down with that loud inner critic voice. So we together tonight for a couple of hours or half an hour are going to take our eyes off the rearview mirror and we're going to move forward and look ahead. So during our study of belief repatterning, we are offered the opportunity to engage in many transformative and supportive activities. This one that we're going to do, that Kathryn and I are going to work through with you, is a very personal, important, and uplifting tool that can be used by you and your students. But first, we want to have the opportunity to have you engage in the activity. You'll see that on the slides, there's a try it on tip. You can read those, and they're really good for actually doing the activity if you want to try it on. So if you see this, it's something that you could also use in your classroom. So if you could please grab a piece of paper, just a regular 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and fold it in half lengthwise like this, and then open it up. And on one side of the paper, draw on the left-hand side, I guess, draw a down arrow, what drains your energy. And on the right side of the fold, draw an up arrow, what raises your energy up. We call the down arrow the downside and the up arrow the upside.
We're not calling these negative and positive, you guys. I think you know this already. As educators, you already are very well versed for emotional literacy. The feelings that we have sometimes referred to in society as negative feelings, ultimately they're the ones that challenge us in our lives, and then we learn. So as educators, they're not negative. We don't need to have a negative experience in order to learn something, but we certainly have ones that are challenging, right? So the downside drains your energy, has you showing up a little bit small version of yourself. The upside races. That's how we like to focus on it. And down thumbs and up thumbs, regardless if even you have kids who are in grade 7 or even up until grade 12, That's not hard, right? So what we're going to do for this activity, Mateo's going to help us out because we're going to make it be a bit interactive. We're going to put the timer on for 2 minutes. And in that 2 minutes, here's what I'd like you to do. I would like you to think about a teacher that you have had, not yourself, a teacher you have had. Possibly it's a school teacher. It could even go as far as somebody who led you in an extracurricular activity even. Fine. Anybody who was in charge of you, but not your favorite teacher. The one that you have a lot of availability, finding some downside examples. They made you feel yucky. Things that you don't want to be as a teacher. I want you to think about that teacher, okay? So we're just going to put 2 minutes on the clock, and I want you to just one after the other, writing down a word, this kind of thing, just one after the other in a big long column on that down side. Any descriptor words that described how you felt icky in their class. So I feel like a good example would be a word like disrespected. It's going to be along those lines, okay? So we're going to put the timer on for 2 minutes. I'll do it on my phone here. And just go ahead. Give it a whirl. Find some words that are yucky to describe your not favorite teacher. Go ahead. What I'd like to do in order to share, I think the easiest way to do this rather than popping on microphones and it being a little bit, why don't you just type one or two of your favorite gooders into the chat box, and we'll take a peek and we'll choose some of them to help you guys out here. Please. Discouraged is an awesome one. Yeah. Stressed. All right. What do you think, Eliana? I liked discouraged.
I like discouraged too.
Do you want to write that one in for us, Mateo? Discouraged is a good one. Did you see another one that you like, Eliana? It's going to make a good point here.
I think that disrespected and discouraged are both good.
Did somebody give the word disrespected? Oh, I gave the word disrespected.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Let me just see if there's another one here. Hang on. Insignificant. That was the other one that I thought.
Oh, good one. Let's put that one in, Mateo, please. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. Okay, wonderful. We'll start with those two. We'll just leave them there for a minute because we're kind of on a yucky place. I want to talk about a little story, and we'll move on. We'll move forward in a second on that, Mateo. So before we continue, I want to just tell you a funny story, okay? Imagine this scene. It's me. I'm going into a public washroom, and somebody comes out of the stall ahead of me, and they go over to the sink, as you see in a public washroom. And I'm a little bit in a grouchy mood because I got to go pee. So come on. So I go into the bathroom stall, and all over the seat, that person before me has left a lot of pee all over the toilet seat. And I am horrified, obviously, because this is disgusting. And I'm fuming, and it's the only stall available, and I really need to go, so I'm wiping up somebody else's mess, and this is all not okay. How disrespectful, how disgusting, revolting manners. I go to the bathroom, and I'm fuming, and how rude, and how can people treat other people this way, blah, blah, blah. And then I flush the toilet, and the toilet sprays out all over the toilet seat, and I have a moment of realization. Oh, that person didn't pee all over the seat. It's just this very special toilet's ability to flush. And on this, I would like to just highlight, this is a fun way to do it because we're teachers. What glasses are you wearing? Look at Eliana's. Because this is a Vegas presentation you guys got going on tonight. Star quality. But what glasses are you wearing? What are you looking for? Because in that scene, there was no truth whatsoever to me and my story of disrespect. They are disrespecting me. All of the stories of how I'm a victim in the scene. And I found it, didn't I? Evidence in the external world avails itself to what it is we're believing. Yeah, it's very interesting just considering this idea of the glasses and how we find what it is we're looking for. Yeah, Eliana's got another one that's like this.
Another one is when you point a finger at somebody, I want you to think about that 3 of those fingers, of your fingers, are pointing back at you. So, for example, I think it's really important for us to sometimes not take things personal. So, if we have a toddler that's having a temper tantrum on the kitchen floor, well, Kathryn told me a story about a mother who was bringing in her toddler, and the toddler was crying. And Kathryn said, why is this child crying? And the mother said, I wouldn't let him lick the garbage. He really wanted to lick the garbage. Well, you see, and when she said no, he had a temper tantrum. And I'm babysitting my grandsons, and my little 2-year-old, the youngest one, has temper tantrums all the time because it's the terrible twos. And I have to also remind myself, don't take it personal, because they are altering their behavior to attempt to manipulate and modify their environment so that they feel more comfortable. Don't forget, they got a billion neurons firing off in their heads, and they can't sort it out. And all he heard, he didn't hear, no, you can't lick the garbage. That's unsanitary. You're going to get sick. Ooh, that's gross. All he heard was no. And that's immediate need to freak out because I'm not getting my way. I don't get to do what I want to do. So we must take a step back and give this poor child a break and say, it's not directed at me. His brain neurons are all firing at the same time. He's running away from the saber-toothed tiger, and I have to relax and let him play it out, and we'll calm down together. Now, there are strategies, but we're not going to get into that right now because that would take up quite a bit of our time as well. So, but we're going to go back to the words that we wrote down on your arrow chart, up down arrow chart. So let's take the discouraged one.
Are we moving this over now, Eliana?
Yes. How about we move this over?
So what we want to do, we're not going to scribble it out and be like, we don't want you, because it's there as a message to tell you, well, you believed one thing, it's kept you alive. It's the saber-toothed tiger keeping you alive. We don't want to be mean to it and be like, drop kick it. We don't want it anymore. We're going to just chat with it. So we're going to draw a line through it. Mateo's going to magically make that line come up because he is basically a superstar. Mm-hmm. And it's going to draw it. Oh, there it is. Yeah, just pull that guy back over. Beautiful. We're going to draw it over the central line where we give ourselves permission for something on the upside. So an opposite for discouraged, for example, on the upside, I would say something like encouraged. Or what about enthused, excited, eager, any of those kind of words.
Motivated.
Moves it over. Yeah, moves it over. So what we do within this, the left-hand side is, I'm sorry, brain. Thanks for telling me. See, the left-hand side is your glasses, right? There's your disrespect. I'm seeing disrespect. I'm seeing I'm discouraged. Thanks, brain, for letting me know that you feel like I'm discouraged. That makes perfect sense. I've learned that before. And also, do I want to keep that forever? We go over to the other side and we give ourselves permission to consider believing, what if instead that I am encouraged or enthused or motivated? Yeah, can the line go through the word discouraged, Mateo? Like right through the, yes. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. What about if we try the word insignificant? I come up with valued. Valued is a good one for insignificant, or empowered, essential,
worthy.
Love. Sorry, we're going way too fast. Mateo's like, come on, ladies, give me a break here. You're perfect. You're doing this at the perfect speed.
Yes.
We went really fast. I'm sorry. We were gonna do instead essential or empowered. What was the one that you said, Eliana?
Value. Oh no.
Oh, I said that.
Worthy.
Worthy.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Awesome. Wonderful.
Now, it is important here to stress that we are not erasing that word on the left-hand side. It is pointing us towards the word on the right-hand side. It's actually supporting, in a way, directing us to turn our glasses to the positive side, or the upside, I should say, not the positive side.
Yeah, to the upside. Let's go back to the bathroom, okay? So the bathroom, my lovely friends, is your downside list.
Here's that.
Yeah, do it. We need it because we need to be serious right now.
Yes.
Take us seriously in these amazing glasses. Yeah. If you have a minute of humility to consider, there's a possibility that when you have registered the memory of that teacher that you described with all those downside words, how much of that is your own stuff that you are available to find? It's an interesting idea, right? The person in the bathroom that story wasn't about me. It didn't have anything to do with me. It was a broken toilet, but I immediately found disrespect because I had availability to believe that I am worthy of disrespect. This is a neat idea, not just for you guys as educators and how you are directing your classrooms and your students and the glasses that you are wearing for what you're going to find from them, but also for how they see the world too. This perspective is really mind-blowing to think about. How are they finding the external world for evidence of their yucky beliefs about themselves and what they deserve and are not worthy of? It's sad. The other thing I'm going to tell you about is, this is another way to think about it. This is an example that I came up with in a moment of amazing parenting of my eldest daughter. She's 18. At this time, she was 17. Okay, and so she came home and she's on her phone like this, and she's like, "Oh my God, mom," and she's telling me that there's a group chat, and then this person said this about me, and then this person said this, and can you believe it? And she's all, and she's like spinning out. You know how we go, right? Saber-toothed tiger is set in. And I just said to her, "Emily, I really love your blue hair." She just looked at me and she's like, "Are you even listening? I don't have blue hair. Like, that's not even relevant to anything that we're talking about." But it was. Because I just said something about her. She says it's banal. It doesn't even make any sense. And blue hair counts as a ridiculous thing to consider. What are you even talking about? But why on the phone is that message coming through? And she's like, "Can you believe it? Emotional reaction." Why? It's another thing to tell you about your own glasses. Yeah, because if it isn't blue hair, then it's your stuff in there. If you don't have a blue hair reaction, it means that you're wearing a pair of glasses and you are happy to find that conclusion and that evidence in the external world. Everybody, take a breath, everybody. It's a little bit sobering in here.
And we do a lot of breathing too, because we do have to breathe all that in so that it gets into our cells and into our lungs, and we fully understand it and take it in.
Yeah.
So we have to consider the blue hair story. That blue hair story comes in very useful when we're in a situation with someone who is critiquing us or saying things about us that are it's really good story to tell young girls or other age groups where there's bickering and fighting, or she she called me a liar, and like those kinds of things. You can put the person down and say, it's just not true, so I don't need to react that way. It just kind of gives them a release to listen to that story, the blue hair story. It's very, very useful.
Yeah, it's really good.
This
list is cool too. Let's look at the upside of the list, okay? So we could have the one possibility is that the finger that you had pointing out, the eyes that you were looking through when you were thinking about that teacher that you didn't love, that downside list could be a reflection of some of the things that are, if it's not blue hair, then it's your stuff in there. Maybe that's some of your things. It could be a little hint. Do you want to look at this? Because this feels owie. I'm ready to find this. Could be that. Could be a second thing too. It could be, and this happens quite a lot, people will show up and they will reflect to us a perspective that is such a huge contrast to who we really are and how we show up in the world. And the rules, the standards that we uphold ourselves by, they are such a huge contrast of different way that they do it in the world that it almost slaps you for how, and therefore you get this amazing reward to go, oh my gosh, I am so grateful that I show up this, and this way, which is not how they show up. Sometimes it's a really wonderful opportunity to see those people that really contrast us, because ultimately this upside list that you now have, encouraged, enthused, motivated, valued, essential, worthy, empowered, other words that you could do for bringing your other words that you have on your own personal list over to the upside. Chances are, guys, that upside list is like all the best reasons why you are an amazing human and teacher, right? That upside list is your, you're all feeling me, look at all the goosebumps you're giving me. That's your descriptor list of all the reasons why you have chosen this amazing profession. Yeah, because you want to show up in the world as that person. However, what you put on the downside, it's giving you a little tap. Whatever you're pointing your finger at, usually there's 3 fingers pointing back for why is that not blue hair? Why do you find that? Because if it's not blue hair in banal, something that's yours in there. Very interesting. I love this activity. Imagine doing this with your kids, you guys. They could do this. The ones that are literate, I know that the littles, it's a little bit more complicated. You can talk through it though. But the bigger kids, amazing. And in your target language, wow, very powerful.
Yes. Very conversational. And also, we use this tool as well to help, we call it brain dump, where we get, if we've got a big decision that's coming up and we want some assistance in how to move it over from one side to the other, we dump all of it on, we call it brain dump. We get it all out on the left-hand side, and then we move each word over to the right. And it's actually physically uplifting when you move it over. You can actually feel the release of that. But for young ones, when we're dealing with those words on the downside, we call it being thick in the ick. It's just kind of easy for them to understand that icky feeling that we don't want to have around anymore, and it can be overwhelming and challenging. So if we write down these words, sometimes we have what we call the monkey. He shows up. This little monkey, he's there to protect us. So let me explain the monkey in terms of a dog. I know that doesn't make sense, but you know, those of you who have a dog or have had an itch and is a situation where they've been confronted by a barking dog. So we have a dog named Muffin. Someone comes to the door. Muffin starts to bark. Bark, 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 bark. Why is Muffin barking? Muffin is barking because he is warning you. Warning, warning, there's a stranger at the door. We're in danger. We're in danger. You need to take action. Hurry up. Something's going to happen. I need to get your attention. And a lot of times what we do to Muffin is we say, Muffin, quiet. Muffin, shut up. Muffin, stop barking. Muffin, Muffin. And Muffin just barks and barks. The more you tell him to be quiet, the more Muffin will bark. And that's why we say, don't erase the words, because if you go to Muffin and you say, Muffin, you've done a wonderful job allowing me to hear you tell me that there is danger ahead, that there's a stranger, and I hear you. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. You have done a wonderful job. I will take over now. You've passed it on to me. You can go relax now. You've done a great job. Thank you for showing me about this fearful thing that's coming up, but I can handle it. Thank you. So sometimes when we talk about changing our bad feelings, we don't want to let go because the monkey's saying, no, 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 it's scary. No, I have to hang on on to it. You can't get rid of me. We have to say to the monkey, that's okay. You're doing great. I thank you for showing me and showing up. Now I'm going to ask you to just step aside and let's move the word over to the upside.
So we did that arrow, upside and downside arrow, and moving things across. And then in your handouts here, there we go. You're going to have this in your handouts. It's do we want to focus on problems or on solutions? I love these downside words that are problem focused, very victim. And what are the solution focused ways of referencing people, students? I like it a lot. Move them across. It's the same way as what we just did in our example. So, is this ignoring all these triggering feelings and just pretending them away? It's not, you guys. What we're doing here is we're starting up a gentle conversation with that inner critic monkey that we've been referencing a lot. It likes to keep us alive. We've talked about that lots. We don't want to erase it. We don't want to push it away. If we do that, it comes back yelling louder, doesn't it? Like the dog in the example that Eliana gave us. We write down the word that it tells us it's feeling. We forgive ourselves for believing that this word is true to us. Or we forgive ourselves for believing that the way things have always been is how it has to stay now, moving forward. We recognize the feeling is showing up as a messenger that wants us to think bigger and go further for what this really means. As we draw the arrow across that central line, we're giving ourselves permission to consider the opposite of that draining feeling instead. And we can't believe two things at the same time, you guys. So we need to choose one. Which side of the line do you want to choose? Which side of the line do you want your students to choose? Do you remember the video about being stuck on the elevator? Bring it back to memory now. It was laughably easy to see where obvious solutions were available watching that clip. And some of your older kids would like that too. Try on these suggestions. It can just be really straightforward. Let's let it be easy.
Again, we don't want to ignore that inner critic voice. We want to transform it from a victim story and write a new story that empowers us and creates a better version of you. That's from Suze Casey. We want to see ourselves as the sharpest crayon in the box. Now, this is just one effective tool in the belief repatterning system. As teachers, this tool can be a smorgasbord of interesting activities that you can do with your students. But before we reveal some more of these activities, I believe we're going to pique your interest about using words and how choosing the words on the upside increases our energy. We want to focus on the incredible power words can have upon us. We're going to watch another short little clip about an amazing little young man who's going to tell us an interesting story.
Good afternoon. My name is Jackson, and today I'm going to be talking to you about how words affect us. To start off, I'd like to tell you a little story. So if you'd all please close your eyes and imagine with me. Now imagine a beautiful green field with sunshine and some fluffy white clouds and hundreds of bunny rabbits hopping around. Some of them are playing tag, some of them are running races, some of them are just napping in the sun. They're hopping around in the field. Now don't think of a lion in the middle of your field, chasing the bunny rabbits around. No, just think of the bunny rabbits. Just think of the bunny rabbits hopping around. Don't think of a lion chasing your bunny rabbits around. Okay, you can open your eyes. Raise your hand if you thought of a lion. That's right. You did think of a lion. You can't stop it from happening. Nope. I told you don't think of a lion. Why did you think of a lion? The human brain doesn't respond to negative commands like don't. This is important to understand. We should always reach our goals by using positive words. For example, this runner here shouldn't be saying, I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose. Because what his brain is actually hearing is, I want to lose. I want to lose. He should actually be saying, I want to win. I want to win. Words mean things. They have connotations. What are connotations? The emotional meanings that we attach to words. They describe the way we feel about something based on what we call it. For example, this little girl right here could be called any number of things. A child, a brat, a kid, or a bug rat. If I called her a child, you would probably be okay about her. If I called her a brat, probably wouldn't be so good about her. Words affect how we feel. Has anyone ever said these words to you? You're stupid. You're ugly. I hate you. You have no friends. How do they make you feel? Probably not very good. What about these words? You're beautiful. I love you. You're special. You're smart. How do they make you feel? Probably pretty good. I'd like to share with you a little experiment I did with water. But first, how much water is in the human body? In kids, up to 75% water. In adults, it's up to 60%. And in the elderly, it's up to 50%. We have water in our cells, our tissues, and our organs. My hypothesis was that water exposed to beautiful and nice words would form beautiful and nice crystals, and water exposed to ugly and hurtful words would form ugly and gross crystals. So to start off, we took identical jars and put of identical water. Then we labeled them. Then I told them what they said every day. Here are the nice words. I love you. You're beautiful. You're special. Here are the ugly words. I hate you. You made me sick. You're so ugly. We also exposed them to different types of music, such as Beethoven, Mozart, and death metal. Then after a month, we took a drop of water out of each of the slides and put them on the slides. Then we put them in the freezer and froze them. This is what they looked like under a microscope. This was, I love you. You're beautiful. You're special. I hate you. You make me sick. You're so ugly. Beethoven. And Beethoven is one of my favorites because look at the perfect circles in the circles. Mozart. Death metal. This is just them all put together so you can see them. My hypothesis was right. Water exposed to beautiful and nice words would form beautiful and good crystals, and water exposed to ugly and hurtful words would form ugly and gross crystals. If our bodies are up to 75% water, what do you think words are doing to us? You should always say nice words to yourself and be nice to your friends. And think back to the story of the field and the bunny rabbits. And remember that the human brain doesn't respond to negative commands. Remember, we should always reach our goals by using positive words. Thank you.
He's an amazing young man. Yes?
Super cool.
Super cool. So this little experiment that this gentleman did was an experiment done by Dr. Masaru Emoto. And Dr. Emoto used the same technique that this young boy did, which was expose the water to words, different words, and then he froze the water and then he took a look at them through the microscope. He also did one with rice and water. And through an incident that happened in my home, I decided that I was going to try this experiment myself in my home. So I used rice and water, uncooked rice. I poured a little bit of rice in the bottom, a little bit of water on top, and I had 3 jars. I had one I called the good jar, one was the bad jar, and the middle jar I called sarcasm teasing. And the reason I used that is because an incident occurred where my little grandson was very upset because his daddy, unbeknownst to him, because we all love our kids and we don't want to hurt them, was teasing him. And he couldn't get it. He was just very upset. And so I wanted to see if teasing had the same effect as bad words. So just for a few seconds every day, and I tried to do this early in the morning so nobody in the family could see me because I'm talking to jars of water. But I used some words for the bad jar. I said things like, "You're disgusting. I don't believe you said that. Why did you do that? You're so stupid." Just for maybe 15 or 20 seconds. So the middle jar, I said things like, "You're a silly goose. Why are you being so funny? I don't understand what you're doing. You're just being crazy." And then the good jar, I said things like, "You're like the young boy. You're beautiful. I enjoy your company. It's so great to have you in my life. It's so wonderful, the things that you do." And that was about, for a full week, 10 to 20 seconds per jar. This is what happened. Here is the teasing jar, and I'm going to hold this paper up so that you can see the color, the discoloration. That is the jar of teasing. This is the jar of bad words or hateful words. Can you see that coloring there? And this is the jar of nice words. Let me just, as Kathryn says, we're teachers, so we use whatever's available to. I'm going to put this white piece of paper in my teeth, and I'm going to show you the good jar and the bad jar together.
Because Vegas right now.
Yeah. So this is the good jar, and this is the bad jar. See that?
Sick.
So all that is just talking through a plastic jar. This is the good jar, and this is the teasing jar. Teasing, good. Not much difference between the teasing and the bad jar. So I think it's really important that, especially when we're working with littles, that they don't quite get the nuances of teasing. They can't read that. They physically can't understand the nuances there. So we've got to be a little bit cognizant of that. Yeah, so anyway, I just want to say that if talking through plastic to water and uncooked rice can have that effect for 15 or 20 seconds for 1 week, just imagine what talking or speaking to people, humans, ourselves, and our beautiful children, what kind of an effect that can have on them. So on that line, we also want to introduce to you, Kathryn and I, that we have in the handouts some really cute ideas of, this is called Ideas Jar, What Makes Me Happy? And it's just got little happiness cards in there, and you can fill them out and they can put them in the jar and decorate the jar, which is very convenient if the children needs to boost their confidence. This one is my self-praise jar, and there's a few ideas here on, it says things like, "I am a good daughter, son, because ... or "I am a special person because," and they can put that in their own self-praise jar and decorate it and keep it handy for the times when they're feeling low and they just want to look at it. It really does work. We do this as well in belief repatterning, and I just found it very useful. Am I showing this one as well, Kathryn?
Is it a jar?
The face?
No, not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
That one. Okay, we'll show my classroom. Here's my classroom. So this is my doorway. These are ways that you can use words, because I think that they're very powerful. You can harness the power of words in your classroom. So I made a staff word of the year, words around my door. You could put them on a poster too. I appreciate a lot of you don't have your permanent classroom. I could go on a poster board, no problem. What we did, all those words around the door, you see playful, easy, comfortable, passionate, authentic. I asked my staff to come up with words that they wanted the kiddos to feel walking through the door. Not too shabby, pretty wonderful walking through that door. If words have power the way that Eliana's just explained with the jars, why wouldn't we use it this way? Why wouldn't we, right? On the right-hand side, this is something that I do with my staff. This is an intention for the year. What's it going to be like for the next 10 months working with our kiddos in my out-of-school care program and also in my preschool? What's your word for the whole year? So there's some that are grateful, adventurous, kind, using my instinct, gratitude. These are great ideas that you guys can apply. Simple, super simple, but very, very powerful. And on the next slide, there's ones that we can do that are for, on the right-hand side, I love this so much. This is what I do with all my preschoolers, but this could be done at any age, not complicated. We write our word for how we want to feel at school on our handprint. We cut it out, turn it into a cool flower. We are each unique and beautiful, but together we are a masterpiece. So you can see the kids have written, I want to feel brave, I want to feel peaceful, I want to feel gentle, and they do their own little design on it. Very lovely. The one on the left, I have my staff choose a word of the day, and we write it on a whiteboard every single day when we come to school. And everybody knows everybody else's word. So I'll tell you something. If something goes a little crazy, look at this day. This was a perfect day, okay? This was this week. Colorful is my word. And I'm playful, right? I like to do things in a bit of a funny way. So there were moments that were a little this, because, you know, we're working with kids and they're very uncontrollable variables, aren't they? So there were some moments. And while I am supporting two small humans through a social situation where they are not sharing well and things are going down, I turned to my staff member after we worked through it and I said, well, that was very colorful. And, you know, the words are just there and available. If you see a staff member that's kind of going down and stuff is happening and they weren't expecting for that moment where the rug got pulled out from underneath them, look at that reference you have to be like, okay, how can we be constructive on this right now? What could we be doing? It's just such a wonderful and speedy way to support ourselves. Like today, my word is light. See, I write it on my hand every single day because it makes such a difference in my life. I love it. It's wonderful. So on the next slide, also another idea is even if you don't have a permanent classroom, maybe you're borrowing someone's classroom, maybe you do have your own classroom, but think about it. Would your kids even know if underneath the carpet there were high power, awesome words of how you wanted them to feel in your classroom space right underneath the carpet? I do that in my classroom. These sit right on super strong, empowering words. Lots of you love that. That's good. What about underneath the desks of your bigger kids? Right underneath their chairs. Even if you borrow the classroom, is that going to negatively impact the other students that inevitably sit there during the week? Pretty happy to throw a little empowered, a little capable, a little confident underneath anybody's chair. It doesn't matter if it's your student or not. They're just super easy, fast ways to do things. It's setting your eyes up, though, to decide that you are finding those words in your kids. You want your glasses to be words on the upside that you are choosing for your children. You are going to find them capable and confident if you're looking for it. It works both ways, this way and this way. Yeah.
It's awesome. So, words are really, really important. And because we're language teachers, and we're dealing with language learning, words are the scaffolding of that. So they need to be exposed to a certain amount of language and vocabulary before they can even form speech. And we as teachers need to provide them with a plethora of words to expose them so that they can get more vocab and begin to form conversation with all these words. So it is important to use, I guess, flashcards, but try to think of the emotion. We learn through repetition and emotion. So if we're flashing flashcards, there's really no emotion attached to it. And they're very useful, but maybe we could try to think of a creative way to infuse that throughout the classroom. But we also have some ideas as far as choosing of the word. And the one that I used in my Zoom class, before the class start, we'd say good morning, and I'd ask the kids what their day was like or their evening was like, and they would tell me very briefly. They didn't have to tell me big long stories. And then we would spin. Now they really enjoyed it. Of course, my children were younger, so they enjoyed listening to this thing go round and round, and where it stopped, nobody knows. And in this case, the word is pronto. Well, pronto, pronta. I'm sorry, just lost all my notes. Sorry about that.
So fine. Everybody's really expecting us at this point
Magic
to be
wheel.
very, very formal.
The magic
Not
wheel.
set the stage at all.
The magic wheel. So what did this do, this wheel? We've introduced a new word because they didn't know what it was before, the word pronto. I would have them say, if it was a female, that it was pronta. So they kind of understood, or they're getting the understanding that female is ending in a and male is ending in o. So that's the little bit of grammar that's involved in that. The next thing, so now we've learned a new word, we've learned a little bit of grammar, we've learned not to drop our notes, so I can find where they are. It's gonna have to be from memory.
That's okay. The next thing you did was you asked them about pronto, or maybe
That's
you wanted to do what are you
We
courageous?
talked about coraggioso. Yes, so we talked about courageous. So what I did was I would say, hey, do you remember a time when you felt very courageous? Think about the time you felt very courageous. And they would close their eyes and they would think about a time. And then I would say, now tell me about it. And they would be just so thrilled to tell me about a time. Some of them were so simple, like one of them was, I remember being courageous when I was digging up worms. Yeah, like I remember being courageous when I heard the fire alarm go off and I calmed myself down. Like you'd just be amazed at the interesting stories that these children have, and they're so proud because they've overcome whatever it was that was in front of them. So they've learned to attach emotion to that word. They've learned to attach positive feeling to that word. They've learned to attach a feeling of success and capability with that word. So if they're in a situation where they're feeling out of sorts or they're having trouble with a person, you can just, because now as a teacher, you've heard the story, you can use that and it's a truth for them. You can say, hey, Maria, do you remember the time when you were so courageous when you were digging up the worms? Now they will immediately, and I've used it, they will immediately be on alert because you've brought a true story to them and it reverberates within them. You can overcome this too, just like you did when you were courageous with the worms. And really, that really helps to land in their hearts and settle them down and give them the courage to move forward and the capability to move forward. So I am going to ask Kathryn to move forward with me because I'm going to for my
Kathryn can do that. She's really good at thinking on her feet. She works with preschoolers. It's so fun. You organize your papers. I got this. You know, I know that some of you have got older kids here. I'm not going to lie. I feel like grade 7s would still be like, yes, I want to spin the wheel to find a word, right?
I really like that part.
Yeah, it looks really fun. But I mean, if you wanted to, you could just have it be pulled out of a hat. I feel like the big kids would still be like, come on, give me the wheel. Think about this, you guys. This is an amazing opportunity, I think. So you've got each kid, if you had them do choosing a word of intention for the whole year, how they want to feel, you do that in your target language, right? You write it in the middle of a paper and their name at the top, and then maybe every week you manage to find one example of how that child showed up with that word describing them in your classroom. Amazing, so wonderful, so empowering, because then you can give them, after, I don't know, 2-3 months, you can give them maybe 4 examples of when I saw you being courageous. How easy is that? I was so impressed that you were courageous today and you put up your hand, and I knew that that was challenging for you, but you stepped right into a learning moment and decided that you were good enough and you put up your hand. I'm so proud of you. Oh, you're all goosebumpy. Or what about, like, I saw that it was courageous today because we had to do a group project, and I know that that's not always your favorite thing to do, and yet you were really wonderful, loved the teamwork, super courageous. One of those that you could give to kids, you would change their lives. Change their lives. It's so lovely. Yeah. In my class, I have posters that I use that are from the repatterning system. And then I translate them into French after the fact. Yeah. So there's a poster that's got 52 words because there's 52 weeks in a year. Or this is the one where the grown-ups choose their words because there's 999. Pretty awesome. These are fun. Kids in my classes usually just, they're not literate yet, so they just kind of pin the tail on the donkey. But imagine like how you can bring literacy into this for the beginner readers and sounding out the words. I certainly do it with my kinders. So whether they do pin the tail on the donkey or they choose a number down the side and a number along the columns and match them up in the middle to find their words, they do that. We've also got like, there's a calendar that has a word for every day, and there's a website that we'll give you at the end. If you log into there, you can ask them just to send you an email of the word of the day, or a Facebook page that sends you the word of the day, just so you can be like, okay, I want to harness myself into an upside word before I start my day. Let's do this. Yeah, and Eliana just showed us a little green booklet that's got all 999 of those words all in one go. I like to use this. This is in your handouts. It's in the middle there of the slide. Look at, just wrote the word on every day. It looks so pretty, and it's really like an incredible way to just track the words that you focus on in your classroom together. So at school, what I do, today's day word at school was, what was it? Oh, light, because I wrote it on my head. Light. I will feel light today. So it was like, okay, when are we going to feel light in our day? I'm their teacher. I know what they're going to do in the day. I'm like, oh, we're doing a whole bunch of things today about why we're wearing orange shirts. We will feel light when we are coloring in our Every Child Matters coloring today. Yeah, that will feel light and really calm and nice. Will it feel light when we go outside today and we're running around and jumping? That will feel light. Tell me a time when you felt light. This is what Eliana did too, right? We're getting in a memory. We're bringing in a real memory. Did anybody ever have a birthday? Yeah, we had birthdays. We're 4. On your birthday, when people sang to you, or they came and they gave you hugs if you wanted hugs, or maybe there were presents, or there was special food, or maybe there was cake, that feeling feels light. And we bring in the emotion that we've been talking about that's within cognitive learning, so that the subconscious is going to take over and automatically take them onto that upside. It's awesome. It's so wonderful. Doing this as one of the activities daily is a means to ensure that your students leave their very real lives at the door. We offer an activity that to the kids, it seems like it's just, about emotional literacy in their target language. But actually, I'm sure you're beginning to see that this, in fact, focuses the glasses that they wear to find examples in their school day of an upside word, which is then associated with a memory that they've come up with that's real in their brain, that's very salient and very fuzzy, awesome feelings. And that's the best way to start your learning day, don't you think? Yeah, wonderful. So we do have ways to help kids when that critic voice shows up and is loud, and they need a little bit of extra support for regulation. This is called a switch spot. It's literally a poster that's got a light switch on it. Which side of the line do you want to be on? Usually when we wander over to the switch spot, as a teacher, maybe you're getting to a place where you're getting maybe a bit like, sometimes we can be irritated or frustrated with the kids. If I never need to walk over to the switch spot with kids, in my head, I go, find 2 reasons why this child parent loves them so much. It dissipates all the yucky out of that. They are not having a tantrum on the floor like the kid in the kitchen who can't lick the garbage. They're not having a tantrum in order to bug me. I'm not even in the story. Not in the story. So I clean my stuff up while we're walking over to the switch spot. And look at the posters. Like the red arrow says, that's not like me. And the right arrow is, I choose. And like, look at there's like emojis with the same stuff. So it's the kids who are not literate yet can just look at the picture of the emoji. Which way do you feel? Which ones you want to go up to instead, right? Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I have all of these posters because I'm a practitioner in belief repatterning, and I've been piloting belief repatterning in my classroom since 2018. So I roll with this. This is my everything. Every single day, any moment where there are kids who are on the downside, I promote my program using this because it makes us be a pretty special program that's mindful and supports for emotional regulation. Yeah.
Is a resource. I mean, Kathryn's given us lots of the flip your switch spot is excellent. And there's also a resource in every one of our classrooms, and that resource will excite and motivate and stimulate and be unendingly interesting to every single student in your classroom. It costs nothing, it's renewable, and it's full of amazing potential. And that is the students themselves. Now, if the students are reluctant students, the way to plug into them is to have them talk about themselves. So I just want to quickly show you a couple of more resources that we have here. This one is one put on by Twinkle, and it's just a face. And what the intention is here is, what they've done here is half the face is the child, and the other half is all the child's interests. Let me bring that closer. So she plays the clarinet, I think, loves to read books, plays soccer, goes camping, has a cat, and there's a rainbow behind her part of her ear. And I just think that's absolutely beautiful that she's able to express all the things that are within her. So that is also available for you. Another one that I thought was really cute was this fingerprint one. This is called I Am Unique, and there's just showing you that you can use fingerprints. And then what Rachel did, and what would be really cute, is she took her fingerprint and blew it up a little bit larger and then wrote all the things about her within her fingerprint. And I think that is just an excellent little kind of art activity that you can do with your resourceful students. Another one is mattergrams. Oh, this is crazy making questions. Okay. These are some crazy making questions. Now, we aren't really going to address all of them, but this is in there for as a way of reminding you that these questions don't really have any answers, and they just drive the person that needs to respond to the question and the person that's asking the question. And some of these are, do you understand? Of course. But do we really understand? Not really. Who's responsible for this? Who do you think you are? What were you thinking? Where are you going? When did this happen? Why did you do that? How could you do that? And how did this happen? Even the tone of saying those questions are crazy making, because the child's not going to be able to answer that or access answers that you're going to be wanting to hear at all anyways.
Do you have the hot air balloon to show us?
I do. This is another activity that's available for you. It's the hot air balloon, and it's what we call it, what lifts me up. This is an activity that I have done in an art class with the students, and they really enjoyed it. They can cut out pictures or write words that lift them up, or color and draw pictures of things that they're doing that lift them up, and they can keep it close by them or in their desk or whatever, and again reference it so that whenever they're feeling, oh, I need to pick me up, or I'm sad or whatever, they could just open it up and go, oh yeah, I remember I love to pet my cat, or I love to dig up worms or whatever. And they really enjoyed putting this together. A couple of classes we took up doing that because they were so into it.
And then there was the one with the hat.
Yes, the positive thinking hat. This one is a really good one as well. Kind of just, can you see that there? Yeah. So this one is, you write helpful phrases and words, encouraging phrases and words. And of course, this can be done in your target language. Helps for conversation. It's done in English, but we just translate it. And the kids can decorate and kind of wear their hat. You could probably even kind of make one from construction paper as well. Any other ones? Do we do the mattergrams now, or is that a later date?
Yeah, do the mattergrams as well.
Okay. So this is one from education.com, and I thought these were really quite good because they're personal messages. They're called mattergrams, and they say things like, you have influence, you have a gift that others need, I see you, you are a genius, you define your impact, you have a contribution to make. And it's just interesting to be able to translate this into your target language. And then they have that as part of their vocab that's right there in their prefrontal cortex.
Yeah. We're going to skip ahead a little bit, Eliana, because we've got
Okay.
13 minutes left. So
Okay.
I think it's time for us to go to 31, and we want to watch a video about how our brain works to make neurons.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
In order to learn anything, whether it's math, a foreign language, guitar, or how to dribble a basketball, you need to create and strengthen pathways in your brain. Think about shooting a free throw. Know that feeling when you've got it down and don't even have to think about it? That's muscle memory. Here's the thing. Muscle memory lives in the brain, not the muscles. Your brain controls everything your muscles do, and it does this by activating specific neural pathways for each and every movement. These are functional pathways, neurons working together to achieve a goal. Say you're learning how to shoot a free throw. If it's your first time doing it, you don't yet have a pathway for that movement in your brain. You need to create it. Let's use an analogy to look at what's happening in the brain during this time. When you're first learning, your brain is like a forest full of trees and dense foliage, with no clear pathway between point A and point B. As you learn the mechanics of shooting a free throw, you create a trail through the forest. Now you can shoot the free throw because you've created that pathway in your brain, but you probably don't make many shots because it's so new. The pathway isn't very clear yet. In order to improve your free throw, you need to refine and strengthen the free throw pathway in your brain. The way you do that is through practice. Practice gradually widens the trail through the trees, turning it into a dirt road between A and B. You're starting to get pretty good now. You're making more free throws than not. You don't have to think about the mechanics as much. That's because the pathway gets stronger after each practice rep. And you've done a lot of reps. With even more practice, the dirt road turns into a paved road connecting A and B, allowing information to be transmitted at a faster rate. Now you're a 70% free throw shooter, and when you step up to the line, you don't even have to think about it. Eventually, with enough practice, what started as a trail has become a full-blown highway. Now you're a master, draining almost every free throw, and the movement is completely second nature. Scientists call this plasticity, and it's your brain's innate ability to create and strengthen connections between neurons. These connections are the path through the forest. Halo Sport optimizes this process by temporarily increasing plasticity in the part of your brain that controls movement, so that your brain can create and strengthen these pathways faster than you would otherwise. We call this hyperplasticity. When you practice or train in this state, you're able to write muscle memory more effectively, allowing you to get that much more out of your practice. In terms of our analogy, Halo Sport helps you build superhighways of muscle memory at an accelerated rate. It's not magic, it's neuroscience.
What we're seeing from this basically is, do you want your kids to be meandering through a forest to be able to pull forward all of the vocab, the spelling, the syntax, the grammar, or do you want a clearly paved highway? And what we're seeing as the point here is that we need really strong positive emotion for learning to stick, right? We've been talking about it and repeating it over and over here. Emotion plus repetition makes learning. And it's important to create strong and positive neural pathways. What we do as teachers needs to do, what we as teachers need to do is create new stimulating positive experiences in our classrooms to enhance the student learning. But what we need to do is clear the way. So we need to consider, are we in this is on the next slide, please, Mateo. Are we in a rest and relaxed place while we're learning? Are we in a fight or flight being chased by a saber-toothed tiger?
So I want you to think about this when we talk about clear the way. Did you ever have a fight or disagreement with your spouse or loved one before you left for work? Did you continue to think about it on the way to work? Do you remember the drive, or were you just on autopilot? When you got to work and somebody approached you and asked you to do something, did you remember what they asked you to do? Did you figure out the details? Or did you have to say, whoa, I need to calm myself down and reprocess what that person said? Well, you've got the capability and the skill to do that. Most of your students do not have that skill. They have not learned that skill. So they may have had a fight, or they've heard their parents fighting, or whatever happened to them at home before they arrived at your classroom. So we need to consider they're coming to us in that state already. So if they're already in an active seeking state of trying to be safe because they're being chased by the saber-toothed tiger, and they're being not pushed in, but they're being subjected to your classroom, and they may be fearful in your classroom as well. They may be fearful that they're disappointing you. They may be fearful that they feel shame because they don't know what they're learning or what they're supposed to be talking about. So we need to figure out in a very quick way, or how to calm your students down and open up the pathways so that they are receptive to what we are going to try to all the information we're going to impart with them.
So that's where we come into, you guys already know all about Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yes.
We don't need to go through that for you. You understand it. You get it already, that we need to just make sure that we're setting up our kids for feeling safe and secure. And we're going to skip this video, but I'll explain to you what it's about. Reticular activators, like the glasses that we've been talking about. When you're at a party and it's really loud, and you're talking with a group of friends, and it's really loud over here, but then over there I hear Kathryn, my brain turns me, doesn't it? That's the reticular activating system. It's what we set our brain up to show us, to keep us safe. And what this guy was talking about, and the video is going to be in your PowerPoint slides that you can take a peek through after, is why would we not actively make sure that we know what we're setting ourselves up to find? It's awesome. You get what you expect. What about attitude? Attitude can't stop life's super real moments from happening, but it sure does determine 100% of how you experience your life, right, you guys? Absolutely. On the next slide, there's some more ideas. Is life happening to you or for you? It's back to attitude again. Where are we showing up for our kids? Where do we expect them to show up? We've got some more try it on the next slide. How about if we do, next one again, we can do going through a doorway. Every time you go through a doorway, you smile. it's on the same page as like putting the words underneath the chairs, right? It just feels lovely. It raises the frequency. And when you smile, someone smiles back. What about giving yourself a wink every time you look in the mirror? It's not complicated, super straightforward. Saying thank you to yourself. Think about when you're looking for your keys and you can't find them and your brain does all the yucky things, all the things that you can say to yourself nasty. What about every time that you find your keys on that little hook, you go, good job, me, thanks so much for putting them there. Or when you drive yourself somewhere, you say thank you, like you would to your friend who drives you. Just really easy ideas, tips, and tricks that you guys can use for yourselves and for your kids as well. Bring things forward on it. Yeah. I think really we're at a place where we're mostly wrapping things up here.
Yeah, I'd just like to talk really quickly about permission, though. What do you think, Kathryn?
Sure.
That we give ourselves and others permission, and we have a little sheet on that you can get as well in the back. And what it does is it takes the shackles of being perfect off of our mind and our body. We give ourselves permission to be human. We give ourselves permission to try. We give ourselves permission to go to plan B, C, D, E. It's clearing the way for your students, because if you all say, today I'm going to give myself permission to be open to whatever it is Madame Kathryn is going to talk about. And it just kind of releases that, and you know, you can relax into it. And it helps the children. I would clear the way by having them breathe deeply 3 times, and then they would say, I am safe, I am secure, I am open to learning, and I am in charge of me. That I am in charge of me meant they are responsible for their own behavior. And you know, none of them said, I don't want to be responsible for my behavior. They were more than happy to accept the responsibility of their behavior. And it just cleared the way for all the learning that they were going to do after that.
So awesome. So that's bringing us to the end of our talk here. I think at the end there is a goofy slide of me that says that we would love to be able to chat with you guys more if you're interested in, there I am, being very excited about belief repatterning, because you can see why. This is based in cognitive learning, and that's exactly why we are such good teachers when we associate the positive emotion with practice, right? We bring it into a place where we create a new file folder for how to come up with solutions. So Eliana and I are both practitioners in this. We'd be very happy if anybody wants to connect with us. Feel free to give us a call or email us for support in your classroom or specific things where you just, what do I want to change your own glasses. We do sessions one-on-one as well. And then that website, you want to learn more? Go there, do it yourself. There's tons of modules that you can do online. It's really reasonably priced. Do email us, because we'll give you a code so that you don't have to pay full price because you know us, because it pays to know people. So make sure that you get yourselves a discount. Want to be respectful of your time, you guys. I'm really grateful that everybody was on tonight and paying attention. If you do have questions, we're available. If you want to as well, email us. We understand that we're at the 9 o'clock timeline as well.
So I am going to open up the floor to anybody either on the chat, or they can use their microphone to ask people, Eliana and Kathryn, questions, and or if anything resonated with you that maybe you're already doing and you didn't realize it, to make comments. I made a couple of comments in my chat about having our older students put those words underneath the chairs, so then the younger students can sit on them. And Eliana knows those older students. I'm ignoring my phone. Eliana knows those older students, so she can appreciate that some of those students would need to write some of those words and hear themselves say them, so then they can hear themselves say them and hopefully take them in. And knowing that they're responsible for putting that positive word underneath a chair that someone else they don't know, or maybe they know, if it's a younger brother or sister, might end up sitting on that chair with that word. So it's even a buy-in to say, hey, you're writing a word, and guess what? Amaya might sit on your chair, and she's going to have that positive word underneath her sedere, which is basically under her butt, which will make him smile when he says it. And it'll make him realize, oh, I'll be with her somehow, hoping she's being the way I said the word that she sits on. So thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. This was really, really wonderful. And Lesia actually even made the comment about adapting some of these ideas for our adult students, because as you all articulated, as adults, we forget.
Mm-hmm.
As little kids, we are so concrete that we know what makes us happy and we go for it. But as adults, we forget that concreteness of what makes us happy and what makes us feel good, because it may not be convenient, even though it should always be convenient.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, I'm going to open up the floor to anybody who wants to ask any questions or make any comments. And as you can see in the chat, thank you so much. This was really great.
I like your wording, Antonella. It's nice to hear you processing through the information for how you can apply it, where you could put it.
Yeah.
That was the point. We wanted this to be hands-on. Immediately go use it in your classroom and change. You don't have to do all the things, but if you choose 1, 2, 3 of them, yeah, it's going to make a massive difference for you and for your kids. It's great.
And have fun. Have fun yourself, to be creative and try to turn things around and what if I try this? And have fun with the students. They love having fun, and they will learn when you have fun.
And I think culturally too, given all the different cultures that are being represented this evening, our cultures also have an impact on how we take in the world, and how words are impactful.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's another piece that that all of us as heritage language instructors, because you can't separate one from the other, and that makes a big difference. So
Yeah.
thank you.